In this video, we'll be counting down our top 8 money-saving tips for traveling around Europe on a budget.
And when you make it to the end, we even have a bonus tip for you. How's it, guys? We are Matteo and Misha, and we are the Global Expats.
We're an international married couple who's lived all over the world, even on a cruise ship. And on this travel and lifestyle channel, we're here to give you guys the best tips and tricks we learned along the way and hopefully inspire you to fulfill your dreams. So click that subscribe button so you don't miss out. Okay, travelers, so now we're going to be counting down our top 8 money-saving tips for traveling around Europe on a budget. Tip number 8, travel credit cards. This is a big one. I know some people might have some for maybe a specific airline or a specific hotel, but getting a general one will save you so much money across the board. The one I've been using for years is the Chase Sapphire card, and it is a great credit card. If I'm using it for international travel, domestic travel, hotels, car rentals, your points with this card work across the board. It's actually amazing. Not to mention it's like metal and it's kind of thick and I feel like a baller when I use it.
Yeah, you gotta hide it in South Africa as they try to steal it.
No, but no, you can use your points across the board. You're not pigeonholed into just one airline, one hotel. You are kind of free to roam on that credit card, which is amazing. And another big tip that some people don't realize when they travel abroad is that with a travel credit card, you have no foreign transaction fees. Zero. So if you use a normal credit card when you're overseas, every time you swipe it, you're getting charged around 3%, if not more, on every single purchase. So with travel credit cards, it's amazing because you're not just throwing money out the window when you swipe. Like, what you pay is what you pay, that is it. There's no added nothing. So
those charges rack up fast.
They do. They add up really fast. So be sure to get yourself a great travel credit card.
Tip number 7. Don't eat out for every meal. What we love to do is we love to go to the supermarket, and there you can get the bread you need, ham, cheese, lettuce, and you make a beautiful little panino that you can take to either a piazza or a park or the church on top of the hill. That way you can either watch the sunset or sunrise, depends on who you are.
Yeah, and there's always like musicians playing in the piazzas, different entertainers, jugglers. There's always so many things happening in every city that it's almost like you miss out when you go into a restaurant because you can't see any of it.
Exactly, and the majority of these places, they also have street food. So you could just rock up to one of the small windows and you put your order through for a couple of euros, and it's a lot cheaper than eating out at a restaurant. Restaurants can be really cramped in the center of town, plus the recommendations you get are probably a recommendation from the guy at the hotel. He gets kicked back from somebody, so odds are that's why you got sent there, and the prices are raised and you're going to get charged an arm and a leg.
Yeah, definitely. And plus, when you save all the money from eating out, because it does add up quickly when you're eating out at the restaurant for every meal, you can use that money instead to go have an experience that you wanted to have in that city. Go see something, because that'll be more memory making that you spent that money on versus just sitting in a restaurant dining with a bunch of other people where it's super crowded. So yeah, and actually our first date, I loved it. So typically, when you think of a first date, it's like, oh, he took me to this fancy restaurant and it was magical, and it's so like bougie. But for our first date, we got €5 pizzas. It was like from this fresh like little oven.
One of the most popular pizza places in Florence.
Yeah, so we met in Florence. So we went to this place, got €5 pizzas, grabbed a bottle of wine from the corner store, and he surprised me. He's like, we're grabbing this and I'm not gonna tell you where we're going. I was like, okay, so we're walking through Florence, and I'm like, okay, I wonder, what's going on. And then he takes me to a spot I've never been before. We jumped down a wall on this like slab of pavement, and we sat right on the Arno River and we watched the sunset and we ate our pizza and we just drank this bottle of wine. We didn't even have cups.
No. But it obviously worked, eh? It obviously worked because we're still here today.
We uncorked the bottle and we were just sharing it between us, eating our pizza on the river. And honestly, it was like the best date I ever had.
It led to one of the best nights as well. We went out afterwards, met a few new people, and yeah, it was an awesome night to remember our first date.
So good things can come from just grabbing food quickly and going and seeing a beautiful view.
Exactly.
Tip number 6, aperitivo, tapas, or happy hour. So usually in most places, this will be in the late afternoon or early evening. And depending on what country you're in, it'll be a couple euros, and every place does it a little bit differently. But usually for a couple euros, you get an amazing drink and some like snack type foods. Depending on the place, it could be small snacks like some peanuts, some little things like bar snacks.
Or unlimited.
Or unlimited. We had a favorite one that we used to go to all the time in Italy that was a buffet. So we paid a couple euros, got an amazing drink, and their aperitivo was a little buffet, and you could go back to that buffet as much as you wanted. So it was a great, cheap way to go out for dinner to a cute place and really, really get the most bang for your buck. So definitely look into those. Maybe look some up in the city that you're going to, see the reviews, and pick the best one that you think you love the most. Tip number 5, cheaper modes of transportation. And by this we mean taking a bus from one city to another, even when it's in a different country. We love to use Flixbus because it's super easy to cross country borders. We've taken it from Budapest to Vienna to Prague, and the buses have always been so nice. They have TVs, air conditioning, Wi-Fi to use, so it's a super enjoyable ride. And I think we only paid 10 euros each. Yeah, so not only is this a lot cheaper than flying, but when you get to the bus, you literally just put your luggage on the bus, get on, and that's it. Unlike when you take some European flights, sometimes they will charge you to just take your little carry-on luggage with you, and that's an added cost.
Never mind checking in, going through security and waiting.
So it's a lot longer of a process, and it also does add up quicker than taking a 10 euro bus ride from one city to another, crossing countries. It's so easy, so cheap. We always have great experiences on them. So we definitely recommend that to save some cash. Also, a sub note on this one is that airport shuttles you can often find in a lot of cities, again, only for a couple euros. Let's say you go to the city's main train station and there is a bus that's running express to the international airport or one of the smaller airports if you're flying domestically. And again, this will save you huge money on taxi rides to the airport, all that added cost, just a couple bucks to get on a bus and you're on your way.
Tip number 4 is the hop on, hop off red bus. Yeah, it sounds super touristy, but they're actually a lot of fun. We've taken a lot of them in the cities that we've been in, and it's an awesome value for money. So not only do you get to see all the landmarks of a city and all the popular points, but you don't have to actually plan it out yourself. Plus, they take you around the way and can drop you off wherever you're planning on going.
Yeah, and I know in some cities, I know for instance in Paris and some other European cities that are really big, figuring out the train system can be quite difficult. We did have some trouble with it the first time we went. So if you're only in the place for a couple of days, this is actually super easy and you can kind of sidestep figuring out the whole train and bus system in a city if you don't really have time for that.
Plus, there's a whole bunch of valuable information that you'll hear, and they do all different languages.
Yeah.
They tell you about a city. We're really interested in learning stuff about the city, otherwise it just looks like a bunch of buildings. So you get to know the history, you get to know current events, and yeah, it's awesome.
And you get to get on and get off wherever you want. So it's an awesome value for money, definitely. Tip number 3, sites that compare airline and hotel prices. These are usually cheaper than going to a specific website for a certain airline or a certain hotel. It'll get you the best prices, usually with a deal. You just put in where you're going, what dates, and it'll generate all the search results starting from the cheapest. So then you can assess what hotels, what prices you're comfortable paying and see all the reviews and get a great deal. My personal favorite is Kayak. I've been using it for years now. I just find it super easy and super simple. But I know you use different ones.
Yeah, I use Skyscanner and Booking.com.
Yeah.
You can use the 3 to compare each other, and usually different things pop up, but majority of the time you'll also find things that are similar.
Yeah, so definitely another great way to save some extra cash. Tip number 2, staying in hostels. Now we're gonna be doing another video where we talk more in depth about hostels because there are a lot of things to talk about, but a few of the reasons that we love them and we choose to stay in them is 1, they're cheaper than hotels. 2, they have free breakfast every morning and it's more than enough food to get your day started on. And 3, they organize events pretty much every night of the week. You have pub crawls, club crawls, a bunch of different activities. If they're not free, then they're only a couple euros. and you get drink deals. You might have an hour of open bar or a shot at each pub, something like that, to really help you guys out from the money side. And it's a great way to meet people from the hostel. They come from all over the world. So not only are you getting these free organized activities, you're also making new friends and making awesome memories. So that's why we love staying in them. The last point for hostels is actually going to lead us into tip number 1, because hostels do this and it's awesome.
Our number 1 tip, free walking tours. Hostels offer them and they're one of my favorite activities to do. We do recommend doing them on day 1 of the city, because that way you can knock out all the major landmarks and you get a lay of the land.
Yeah, and the tour guides themselves are a wealth of knowledge for recommendations on where to go, what to see, how to get around, and do things that the locals do. So they really help add to your experience in your time in that city just off of their tips and advice. They are free, but if you want a tip, if your tour guide did a great job, definitely give them a tip, because they always appreciate that. The company that we usually go with is called New Europe. We've always had a great experience with them. The guides are super awesome, super friendly, and yeah, so definitely check out free walking tours.
Amsterdam and Paris were awesome walking tours.
Yeah, they're all awesome.
They're all awesome. All right, guys, and here's your bonus tip. When you do eat out at restaurants throughout Europe, mainly you do not tip. It's customary to not tip, because they usually add a little surplus onto your receipt, and yeah, that'll cover the tip that you're supposed to give.
Yeah, and oftentimes I've actually run into this problem because it's so customary for me to tip that they actually get offended sometimes, because they think that we think that they don't make enough money or something like that. So a lot of the times they can actually get offended when you leave a tip, so don't be surprised by that. The nice thing on our end or your end is that the price you see is essentially the price you pay, so you don't have to do all that calculation in your head and paying extra money on top of the meal. So yeah, keep that in mind.
So yeah, that's it for this video on traveling around Europe on a budget.
If you got value out of this video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, because we'll be making a bunch of more videos like this one. Also, if you have any money saving tips that you use when you travel, we would love to know what they are. So be sure to leave them in the comment section below, and we'll go through them and we'll let you know what our favorite one was in the next video. So stay tuned.
Catch you later, friends.